All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 2025 updates on the European Digital Credentials for Learning and the European Learning Model. Thank you for being so many to join us this morning. I am Céline Jambon. I'm Policy Officer at the European Commission in the Director General for Employment, Social Affairs and Inclusion, and I work in the Vocational Education, Training and CEDEFOP units. We are very happy to be here also with the colleagues from the Digital Credential Support team and from our IT unit of DG Employment to walk you through all the different updates regarding the Digital Credentials for Learning and European Learning Model. This morning's webinar is not an introduction webinar. We have had recently one webinar on the basics of the European Learning Model and another webinar on the basics of the European Digital Credentials for Learning. And you can also catch up the recordings of both these webinars on the Social Europe YouTube channel. So today's webinar will be more about updates on the current tools as they exist. So we will not go back to what are digital credentials, how they work, and so on. You can find the different information in the chat. Now, I will walk you through the agenda for this morning's event. So first, we will start with, if you can go, yes, thank you, with a policy update on the Union of Skills. Then we will present EDC updates covering both Release 2.5 and Release 2.6. Then we will also present ELM 3.3 updates and also present to you the upcoming developments. Kia from the support team will present any other updates, in particular related to support material that is available. And finally, we will have a Q&A. For the Q&A, we will use Slido, so you can already start asking your questions directly on slido.com, and the team will post the hashtag for the Slido directly in the chat. So now if we already go directly into the policy update. So on the 5th of March of this year, the European Commission adopted a Union of Skills. So the Union of Skills is one of the three major initiatives being presented by the Commission within the first 100 days, alongside the Competitiveness Compass and the Clean Industrial Deal. And these three policy documents highlight that skills are a key enabler for Europe's competitiveness and the urgency of addressing skills and labor shortages that the EU is facing. And this is also why the Commission put forward the Union of Skills. And this Union of Skills communication sets out a holistic vision and a plan. It promotes a union of skills at all levels, all stages of life and for all skills, no matter how they are acquired and without borders, and to ensure Europe successfully retains and attracts talents as well. And here you can see on the screen a quote, if we keep on the previous slide, a quote from Executive Vice President Roxana Mitsatu on the European Employment and Social Rights Forum, where she said that the Union of Skills is our strategy to help people stay ahead in a rapidly changing world and keep Europe competitive and fair. And we in Europe put people first because the success of every person in learning, at work and in life is essential for competitiveness and for a stable and resilient union. And now if we move to the three objectives of the Union of Skills. They are first to ensure that everyone in Europe is empowered to build solid skills foundations and engage in lifelong upskilling and reskilling, to support companies to be competitive and make it easier for employers to find people with the skills they need to create sustainable growth and quality jobs. It is also a call for companies, including small and medium enterprises, to invest in upskilling and reskilling of their workers to adapt to the ever-changing challenges and opportunities. And thirdly, the Union of Skills will work to make skills and qualifications, regardless of where they were acquired, more transparent, trusted, and recognized across the single market. And to achieve these objectives as set out, there will be 4 work strands of the Union of Skills, and each strand includes actions that are either reinforcing ongoing work that has been taking place over the last few years or introducing new elements where they are needed. And the 4 work strands focus on build skills for quality jobs and lives through a strong educational foundation with an inclusive lifelong learning approach, upskill and reskilling, and agile workforce mastering the digital and clean transition, notably those with lower and middle skills, and circulate skills with the free movement of people across the EU, unlocking the single market's full potential, and all of this for Europe's competitiveness, and finally, attract, develop, and retain talent. And the Union of Skills will be underpinned by a solid governance structure, as well as a call for more and better investment in skills. And I want to zoom in for a moment on the circulate and allocate skills to unlock the full potential of the single market, meaning this third strand of work under the Union of Skills, because it is particularly relevant for everything that we are doing with the European Digital Credentials for Learning and the European Learning Model, where we are working on tools to support the portability of skills and their qualifications. And in particular, the Commission will explore skills portability initiative to improve the mobility of workers across the EU, ensuring transparency, recognition, and interoperability of skills and qualifications. And now we can, with this policy background in mind, move towards the EDC 2.5 and 2.6 update. And I give the floor to my colleague, Ildiko Masar.
Thank you very much, Celine. So we would like to start the introduction of the most recent developments, bundling together the most significant developments, both in the previous release, EDC 2.5, and the current release that we just published last week, the EDC release 2.6. And what we are going to elaborate on point by point is to show you how we are focusing on enhancing platform usability, accessibility, and maintainability. We will show you what we have done to improve the Test Your eSeal feature. We are going to introduce you to a long sought after new feature, the archive feature. Sorry?
You're not heard.
Oh.
Oh.
I can hear you, Ildiko, on my side at least.
Okay. So we are going to show you details about the new archive feature, a little but important update about ESCO-related improvements, and finally, we will show you improvements to the visualization of accreditation and quality assurance information in the EDC viewer. For the first point, I would like to hand over to our colleague, Justin Cook, who will tell you about the enhancements of the platform usability, accessibility, and maintainability.
Thank you, Ildiko. If we can move on to the next slide, please. So yeah, I'll just start by saying a little bit about some of the more cross-cutting improvements that we've made on EDC 2.5, 2.6. So starting with the user interface, there's a broader initiative to align all of the Commission systems with the EU branding and styling, and EDC is one of those systems. So one of the things that we've done is to update the header. So you might notice some small differences in the header, which is about aligning with the corporate styling. Secondly, the framework that we use to build the user interface is also managed by the Commission. And this undergoes a number of releases per year, and we have to keep on top of this in order to maintain support. So one of the things that we've done is upgrade this whole corporate framework, which is called EUI. In addition, we've made some improvements to accessibility, and there will be more coming in the future also. Moving on, we have added support for 4 additional non-EU languages. So it is now possible to create credentials in Icelandic, Norwegian, Macedonian, and Turkish. And then the last two elements are on here are about the kind of security and code quality maintainability aspects of EDC, which is implied by the Commission policies, to make sure that we undergo regular vulnerability assessments and fix any issues that come out of those assessments, to make sure that we cover any known vulnerabilities that are out there. Okay, if we can move on to the next slide, please. So also, it's worth saying a few things about the performance improvements of EDC. So whilst we've not actually made specific significant improvements in EDC 2.5, 2.6, there's a lot of work going on in the background as we speak for the future releases to make sure that we can scale up EDC to make it more performant across the board. So one of the things that we're looking at here is some quite heavy architectural work, which will give us then a platform to scale up and scale out the application and the services in a more efficient manner. So this will give us a big platform later for improving the overall performance of EDC. And some of the other things that we're looking at as well, so we recognize that the third-party component that we're using in the browser, the internet browser, which is called NextU, is a very heavy, intensive process. So what we're looking at ways in which we can improve or change this mechanism to help improve the issuance process and to allow more credentials to be issued in one batch. And then there are some other elements like the way we are handling the credentials during the issuance process to see if we can improve the efficiency in which we handle the caching of the credentials, so we're not having to write to disk reload, write to disk reload, and these kinds of things. So we've found some improvements that we can possibly make there. And then the fourth item on here is about the technology that's being used to validate the credentials. For those of you more technology minded, we're using something called RDF Shackle to validate the credentials, and this is quite a heavy technology to use, and it also uses some external calls to other platforms like the Publications Office for reference data checks and things like this. So in the future, we're looking to move away from this and maybe switch to JSON schema, which is what's already used out there, and some other initiatives like EBSI and DC for EU and OOTS. So that's just to give you a bit of reassurance that we are looking at the performance aspects of EDC, and the message, I guess, here is watch this space. And on that point, I will hand back over to Ildiko. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Justin. So back to the following points about what we have done. So those of you who are early implementers may recall that when you are testing your brand new eSeal, you are able to either get a positive check, in which case it says that you could sign, you could use your eSeal to sign your credentials, or you get a fail response. Up until recently, this was very basic sealing or testing test summary. Now we have expanded this, so when you are using a seal that is accepted by the issuer and you test your eSeal, you will also be able to see reference to the seal's validity, the display name and the qualification type, information that will be included in the signed credentials. That includes the issuer's legal name, identifier, country of registration, and also the date and time of the issue. And also, if you are not using a seal that is accepted, either it's not a seal but a signature, it's not advanced or qualified, or it has expired, then you also will receive a link that is directly configured to a subset of the trust service providers who would be able to furnish you with an accepted eSeal in your country or in neighboring countries. There will be further improvements to the Test Your eSeal, but we believe that this is already quite a significant improvement that will help new implementers to get on board. Then the archive feature, which is something that you have been looking for a very long time, and we are very happy to be able to finally provide you with this feature. Basically, what this means is we introduced in the issuer screen 2 new buttons. The default setting is that the user will download a simple receipt of the issued credentials. This will later be necessary for credential revocation as well. And you also can tick another box if you want to include the credentials from your badge within this receipt. So you can either have the simple receipt, and this is just the evidences of the credentials sent, or a receipt that includes copies of the issued credentials. What is contained in this receipt? Basically, when you run through the issuing flow and you have clicked the buttons or haven't unclicked the button of downloading a receipt, you will download a zip file, and the zip file will contain this receipt file, as well as the credentials if you chose them. And the single receipt file will list all the credential information for the credentials contained in your badge. This will include for each of the credentials in your badge the unique credential identifier, the date when the credential was issued, and confirmation of the delivery of each individual credential, which can either reference reference the type. This is endpoint for direct wallet deposit, or email if the credential was sent via email. It also includes the email or the wallet address. Here's an example for a wallet ID. Here's an example for an email, and the status of the delivery, which could be delivered for direct wallet deposit or sent if it's successfully sent to an email address. Then, those of you who are already familiar and are heavy users of ESCO skill references to express linked related ESCO skills in your learning outcomes are already familiar with the feature of the ESCO skills listed in the EDC viewer, wherein you can click on the concept's title and the new browser tab will open with more information about that specific ESCO skill to give you more information. Now we have implemented the same feature and behavior for ESCO occupations. So going forward, if your credential contains an entitlement claim, you will also be able to not only provide related ESCO occupations from the multilingual ESCO taxonomy, but also the viewers that are the credential holders and their authorized third-party users will be able to consult further information in multiple ESCO languages on the ESCO portal to see a detailed description of this occupation concept, alternative labels, relationships, etc. Another little improvement that we have made is now when you are creating your learning outcome templates and you're listing the ESCO skills, you can see in the tooltip the version of the ESCO that we are querying in this field. We are not completely in sync with the ESCO versions, but you will always be able to see the version that is queryable in this field for ESCO. Going on, I would like to demonstrate the changes that we have made to accreditation, and they are as follows. If you have credential templates that contain accreditation records, which are specific to accredited type credentials, you probably already know how to reference accreditation identifiers. For that, we have a specific field in your credential templates. These are the unique identifiers of accreditation records from the QDR, which serves as the EDC accreditation database. And once you reference a valid published accreditation reference, you are able to issue an accredited credential, which would basically mean that when you issue this credential to your learner, let's say our example learner on Andromeda, you are able to get a valid credential that has an accredited type. And when it is sealed and issued, it also will run an accreditation check. So I already prepared a credential for this qualification that contains accreditation data. And if we consult this credential, as I already said, first of all, you will see the type of this credential being accredited, but also if we wait long enough, we will be able to see authentication and verification checks that contain, in addition to the familiar checks for format, seal integrity, the skipped revocation, and accreditation check as well. This morning this worked. We'll get back to this. And when you click on the Issuer tab, you are also able to see a specific section for accreditation information. And this block of information in the accreditation box is structured data that is pulled from the accreditation database. And this includes information about the accreditation's name, type, date of accreditation, the decision, reference to the accrediting agent. You have a link to the accreditation report that you can consult individually if you want to have more information. And let's see if we can get the authentication and verification checks. I'm sorry about this. I think I may have timed out. But what we also have in the EDC online credential builder right now is the provision of manually created quality assurance templates. And they live here. We have accreditations that you can manually create. Basically just use the same structure that is dictated by the European Learning Model to populate the template with information about the accreditation's title, the accrediting agent, the accreditation type, etc., etc. And if you do want to consult, here we go. And if you do want to consult that information, I will show you in a second where to find it. But finally, we have the accreditation and verification checks loaded. And you can see here that in addition to the regular format seal and validity check, in this case, we also have an accreditation check that will indicate to the third-party viewer whether the awarding body is accredited to issue this type of credential, usually a qualification. So once again, if you want to consult quality assurance or accreditation information that is supplied manually in the templates that I showed you a moment ago, you can just click on the organization, the awarding body's name, and you will be able to see, besides all the other organization-related information, the accreditation information that you manually supplied, including the accreditation's name, type, decision, etc. And because sometimes a credential's claim has multiple awarding bodies, this is possible to supply for multiple awarding bodies. When you go back to the accreditation information on the Issuer tab, this is always a single evidence, and this is the evidence against which the instant automatic validation is happening for accreditation. Okay, back to the slides after the demo. Obviously, if you have any questions, then we can get back to them later. Now we can move on to what happened to the European Learning Model, because recently we also have made changes that will be published very soon. ELM version 3.3 is going to be published in a new version of the ELM browser as well. One of the changes is that we are introducing a new language, namely Montenegrin. And now we also have, as you can see in this screenshot, browsable version numbers. Up until now, you would only be able to consult the most up-to-date latest version of the ELM ontology and application profiles. going forwards with the next ELM browser version, you will be able to consult former versions of ELM, both the ontology and the application profiles. Something that is also a feature that have been requested by many of you and that has been a blocker for a while is the introduction of the order property. This so far only is present on modal level, but this will facilitate later on the ordering, a particular ordering of objects of the same type. For example, those of you who have multiple achievements or sub-achievements in your claims, and you would like to list them in chronological order or alphabetical or order of arbitrary importance, currently you are not able to apply an order. Hopefully in the future, you will be able to, hopefully in the nearer future, you will be able to order these objects in your OCB and in your credential and then reference them accordingly. We also have conducted a series of consultations and mapping exercises to support Europass mobility. And basically what that means is that in addition to the current setup of the ELM in terms of how learning achievements can be awarded and how they are connected to other activities, assessments, and credentials in general, we now introduced a few changes and extensions. We introduced a new class that we call recognition agreement and changed the awarding body's cardinality from compulsory to many, so one to many, to zero to many, which will support the replacement of the awarding body reference from the awarding process class and move it to the recognition agreement class, where we also established relations and roles of organizations, either as ascending organization, of which there can be a maximum of one, and host organizations, of which we can have 0 to many. This recognition agreement and the other properties and associations introduced that are reflected in these red arrows will be able to support the creation of Europass mobility documents in ELM standard compliant format. Something else that we have always been very proud of, our very rich ELM, over 50 classes and 500 properties. We were always very proud of how European Digital Credentials metadata is machine readable. Now we also have a human readable, quite accessible version of some UML diagrams of the EDC application of ELM. Needs to be noted that these diagrams were developed based on version 3.1 of ELM. But if you go to our code.europa portal, you will be able to find a PDF document where you are able to browse these classes. And I do believe that I also have that on one of my screens, just hidden behind my viewer. So if you want to consult these slides, you are able to go to code.europa and see how the various classes featured in the EDC application relate to one another. And if you do consult this file in a PDF viewer, then you are also able to click on the various classes and be taken to the slide that details that particular class that on the individual slides may not be so fully elaborated. So it's hopefully going to make the consultation of relationships between the various classes more understandable than the more linear ELM browser. And if you do have any questions about this, needless to say that our team is available to support. And for the last aspect of our ELM consultations and developments, I would like to hand the microphone back to Céline.
All right. Thank you very much, Ildiko, for walking us through all these changes to the European learning model. So, as mentioned by Ildiko, we have added a lot of concepts related to mobility, but also additional concepts, and these changes are related to the work taking place under the once only technical system and everything that is related to education. But first, what is the once only technical system? It is a system that allows public authorities to securely exchange official documents and data at the request of citizens and businesses as part of cross-border administrative procedures. And the objective of the once only technical system is to streamline cross-border administrative procedures to make it easier for citizens, businesses, public authorities to exchange information. And this work on the once only technical system is working as follows. So you have a person from a member state A that needs evidence, meaning a document or a proof of something from another member state to complete a public procedure. So it connects to the procedure portal in its member state, and the member state acts as evidence requester, meaning that it goes and sends a request via this OOTS portal to locate evidence in member state B, and it sends the request to provide such evidence. So it can be that for a public procedure, I need to provide a proof of my diploma, but I'm now living in Spain, but I graduated in Poland. So I go to the portal from my member state to send a request to send this data about my degree. And the evidence provider in member state B retrieves the required evidence from its database, and it uses the once only technical system to share it with the citizen for confirmation and to transmit it to member state A. So in this process, we have the citizen that goes into a seamless flow on requesting its information, so that everything is happening in the background. And this once only technical system is introduced as part of the Single Store Gateway regulation, which aims to simplify and unify access to online administrative procedures across the EU. And this regulation identified 21 cross-border public procedures related to different life events, and 3 of them are related to studying. So it can be applying to tertiary education study financing, an initial application for admission to public tertiary education, and academic recognition of diplomas, certificates, and other proof of studies and courses. So among all those different procedures, they entail different data or documents related to different domain. And in the education domain, it can be that these evidences cover secondary or tertiary education diplomas, proof of mobility, vocational education training certificates, and the evidence can come from many different public authorities. And there the idea is, because we can, of course, as part of this process, member states can exchange documents in PDF format, but if they wish to do so, they can also exchange structured data, and there the role of existing data model can support this exchange. And one of these data model is the European Learning Model. So the European Learning Model has evolved to support these OOTS requirements. So it was extended to express some of those evidences, in particular concepts that are needed in the OOTS concept related to certificate of admission, secondary or tertiary education diploma, certificates and degrees, and also description of the different courses, the course grade transcripts, language proficiency documents, and vocational education and training certificates. So in a nutshell, all those changes are the foundation for this OOTS collaboration, but more work may come as well in the future as the OOTS is evolving. Now, if we also look towards the future on future development of EDC, we have first and foremost going to work on including ordering in EDC. As Ildiko already explained, we have introduced ordering in the European learning model. So now we want to implement the ELM 3.3 changes in EDC to allow you to have the possibility to add orders within your credentials. We will be introducing terms of use, and accepting the terms of use will be mandatory when you are using the online credential builder, as from the 2.7 release. We are also going to update the notifications that individuals receive when they receive a credential. So all the email notifications will be updated to be more user-friendly and to be a bit clearer for the person who receives them. And we will also keep working on the test your eSeal functionality, so it will be further improved as well to include the DSS report. And finally, and Justin already gave some highlights, we will keep working on technical improvements to improve further performance, accessibility, and usability of the overall platform. And now I give the floor to Kia for walking us through the resources available.
Thank you very much, Celine. Indeed, we've been working a bit on improving the resources that we make available to you. And we have been promising some of these for a while, and I'm now happy to announce that how to issue EDC's pages are now updated, and they have been improved quite a lot. So if you have any doubts on how to issue digital credential and how the full flow goes, you can now refer to the updated web pages. I'm sure that one of my colleagues can also put the link directly in the chat. A small caveat at the moment that we encourage you to use the English version of the pages, as they have not been updated in all languages as of yet, even though we are working on this. It allows to have a great tool on anyone who's really getting started with the process as well. We will also be updating them soon enough with new features, including archive, how to make use of the archive feature in, I guess the coming weeks, months is relevant here. As we already mentioned a few times, we have had the basics of EDC and basics of ELM webinars lately. The recordings are available on YouTube, and we noticed that there's quite a few people in the chat that seem to be new to the topic of EDC, new to the topic of ELM. These are really a great resource for anyone who's getting acquainted with the topic and really provide a basic overview of everything. So we encourage you to make use of this as well. And what we are working on now, we will soon be making available a improved technical documentation on the open source version of EDC. We are currently working on drafting this, so we expect it to be available by the end of this year, but this may always change a little bit, but it should help anyone who's making use of their own version of infrastructure or looking to do any form of integration. We're also soon going to publish a training material on the basics of customizations of EDC on our Futurum portal. On Futurum, there's already a wide range of different training materials available for you to consult, and we will be adding also a specific video on how to make use of accreditation in EDC there soon enough. And with this in mind, we would also want to ask you, what resources would you find useful, either in where you are now in your EDC journey, or what you would have found useful when you first started, and what do you think could be helpful for others? So we would love to hear your thoughts about this. So there is a word cloud available. So I will not show it here, but I see a lot of questions on shackle, on validation. So it seems to be a lot of technical questions that are being raised up, also on policy, which indeed we do not have at the moment. We hope that you will still submit your ideas here. On micro-credentials, I see you have quite a few as well, but there's already a specific training available on this, so we encourage you to consult it on how to issue a Annex 1 compliant micro-credential. So maybe we just need to also be better at advertising what is already there. And for the manual, indeed, as said, the how-to pages should provide a detailed manual on how to issue EDCs. But good to see that some of it that you're highlighting is already there. We just need to make it more visible, and we will take your comments into account. And with that in mind, if we can go to the next slide. We are now launching an EDC adoption survey, as well as the call for testimonials. As many of you may know from also questions, we do not collect a detailed view of who is issuing digital credentials and in what amounts. So your participation in this survey, especially if you are issuing digital credentials, is crucial for us and anyone else who are looking to make use of ELM and EDC to understand what is the current state of play when it comes to the adoption of EDC. So please, if you are working with the infrastructure, if you are issuing credentials, do complete this survey, as it will really help us understand the lay of the land in a more detailed way, understand the challenges that you face, what you might need, what are your use cases, and how we can take this into account when also improving EDC in the future. Additionally, if you complete this survey, you will be asked whether you would be interested in submitting a testimonial. And anyone who's been active with EDC for a while, we really encourage you to do so. We will collect these testimonials and publish them as well, so that anyone, you can also consult your use case. You can showcase how you've been using EDC, how it has impacted your activities, and yeah, we look forward to reading them and seeing how it's gone forward. In either case, if you're interested, you can access the survey by scanning the QR code here. The link is already available down on the slide as well. It should not take you too long to do it, and the survey will serve as the starting point for anyone who wishes to submit a testimonial as well. And with that being said, I think we can go to the next slide, and we can move on to our Q&A session.
All right, many thanks, Justin, Ildiko, and Kia for the different presentations. And we invite you now to keep posting all your questions via Slido. So you can either use the QR code or use on slido.com the hashtag EDC-ELM. So we'll also post the link in the chat for you to join the Slido, and we will also put the Slido screen up. All right. So also you're invited as well to vote for the different questions that you find most relevant, and we will try to cover as many questions as possible until 11:30. All right. So can we share a credential template so that another issuer can use it? Indeed, I think this is a question for Ildiko to take.
Very happy to take it. Thank you, Celine. The credential template cannot be shared. What you can share, however, is prepared unsigned credentials, what we usually propose to larger teams where the work is divided between multiple individuals is the administrator prepares the credential templates. The administrator or a second person who has access to the learner information, including grades where they are applicable, would add that layer of information to the credential template created by their colleagues. And once you get to the first step of issuing a credential, you are able to download the zip file of all the unsigned credentials. So even if you are a credential builder who does not have access to the institution's qualified or advanced electronic seal, you can download the zip file, pass it on to the legal representative or whoever is authorized to use the e-seal, and that person will only have to upload the unsigned credentials from the zip file to the issuer by using one of the options. We allow credentials to be issued not only from the online credential builder, but you can also upload standard compliant unsigned JSON files. And then they just proceed to applying the e-seals and send. We are assessing opportunities or possibilities of sharing credential templates, but it would be a little bit complicated with all the issues around persons' accounts and individual rights and authorizations.
Thank you very much, Ildiko, for replying to this question. Now we can move on to the next question on the screen. ESCO skills are very complex and make credential creation very complicated. Is it mandatory or advisable to include them in the credentials that has less than 15 ECTS? Well, on our side, we would recommend the use of ESCO skills, at least to include some skills coming from the ESCO taxonomy, because it can enrich the credential data. And as we are moving more and more towards the skills-first approach and automated matching, it is very important to have this link with ESCO skills to support these developments. Perhaps Kia, you may want to say a couple of words regarding feedback of implementers regarding the use of ESCO in EDC.
Sure. Generally, it is not mandatory to make use of ESCO, but it is very useful to have it, as it does provide a unified vocabulary when it comes to skills. There are different tools that are becoming available when it comes to helping people link their learning outcomes to ESCO skills. But at what stage you would want to use them is up to you. But we know that a lot of people who are issuing micro-credentials are choosing to include ESCO skills already, as it is almost nicer to have them in smaller credentials, because then the skills become more important and more visible than in a larger credential.
Also, if I may add, when you are adding these ESCO skills to your credential, you are supporting accessibility to a multilingual concept. So if your learner is using your credentials to get their skills recognized, because ESCO is a multilingual taxonomy as well, with detailed descriptions, it really does help the recognition of the individual's skills by utilizing this property.
Thank you very much, Kia and Ildiko, for providing additional replies to this question. Now, moving on to the next question, can individual vet schools become accrediting agencies for EDC? So here, I think it's important to go back to some of more basic concepts of EDC. So any organization can issue an EDC to describe any type of learning. So it can describe anything related to vocational education and training, but it can also be adult learning, higher education, general education, can also be certificates of participation to a company training, for instance. So EDC is very flexible, and in that sense, it can really adapt to different use cases. So any organization then can issue an EDC, provided then that they acquire an electronic seal that attests that they are indeed an organization, so that they can seal the credentials. Regarding accreditation and the accreditation feature, this is an additional layer of checks that is run under EDC. And at the moment, we have going on this pilot with ECHAR, the European Quality Assurance Register, that concerns higher education, but we are also working on extending the accreditation information. But perhaps, Ildiko, you gave the demo earlier of the accreditation feature, so you may also want to add a few words.
Only in the sense that, like I mentioned before, we know that the accreditation database may exclude important documents that prove the quality assurance mechanisms behind certain types of credentials. But this is why we also have the opportunity to enhance generic credentials with this quality assurance data layer or additional data related to the organization. So granted that an accredited credential that has type accredited as opposed to generic would run this additional check and check our accreditation database for a formal evidence, you are absolutely able to manually supply this quality assurance information in your credential templates that you build. So this is something that you as a user are able to do yourself, as long as you do have documented evidence for these quality assurance mechanisms.
Thank you very much, Ildiko. Now, moving on to the next question. May I ask whether you accept approved credentials provided by local systems that will be able to use the same structure and have the proper signature as required, or all countries must use the centrally provided system? I don't know if either Justin or Anthony want to take that question.
I will take that one. The very short answer to the question is yes. The slightly longer answer is that as long as you produce a credential in ELM format and that it follows our guidelines for the correct formatting of the signature, that will be accepted by a Europass wallet. And the way you create that credential and the way you generate it, we have no requirements at all on how your local system does it. We only validate the output against our validation files.
Ildiko, I see you have the hand up, so yes.
Yes, I would like to add that it also works the other way around. So just to give you a complete picture, you can adopt and implement in your own ecosystem any of the components that we offer, including the issuer. And then, as Anthony said, you can issue into Europass wallets. But you can develop your own wallet as well, which means that you, if you do have your wallet service, you are able to issue credentials from your issuer to your wallet, but others can also issue from the EDC issuer to your wallet, etc. If you know the learner's wallet ID, it doesn't have to be a Europass wallet ID. It can be an external or additional ID.
Thank you very much, Ildiko, for those precisions. Now, if we move to the next question, when the revocation feature will be available. So I will take that question. So we have plans to align the European Digital Credentials for Learning with the European Digital Identity Wallet. And the goal is then to use whichever mechanism will be part of the European Digital Identity Wallet for revocation as the mechanism for the European Digital Credentials for Learning. Unfortunately, we cannot provide an actual timeline at this stage, but this is part of the broader developments that we see for the future of EDC. Now, if we move to the next question, these systems are very complicated for us, education providers. What about the individual learners? If the system requires a lot from the learner, it will not be used, at least not by all. So further division between people who are bright enough to use and those who do not see the point. Here, perhaps we can again emphasize that for the person, the recipient of the credentials, things should be very easy for them. They receive an email and then they can decide to store the credential in the Europass wallet or in the future over compliant wallets. And then they can also share the credential very easily. Our goal is to make the credential system as easy as possible. So, so that we can, of course, support all individuals. If yes, and we also take this feedback. So if there is also things that you deem complicated as well, you are also welcome to share with us any ideas for simplifications of the system. But I see also Ildiko, you have the hand up, so please go ahead.
It is actually Miki. I wanted to add here as well that indeed what we're showcasing here is really what is meant for the education provider, for the training provider. So it will be a lot more complex than what is seen from an individual's perspective. Essentially, they would just be receiving a credential and be asked to navigate it. So it should not require, and it will not require, the same level of detail and the same level of technical knowledge of what we are discussing here. It is never intended to be a prerequisite for understanding the credentials. But that being said, I echo also what you said, Celine, but if there is something that you would interpret as being too detailed or too complex, please do let us know.
Although, if I may add, it's all the quality and the value is always in the eye of the beholder, and we always encourage our implementers to think outside of the box and think about the ways in which lifelong learners can use these credentials during their entire life. If you are always giving them some kind of credentials, you can ask yourself the question whether there's added value to replacing a single simple PDF, which has just a name and a title, with something that also has a preview that looks like your old PDF with a title and the name, but it also has some additional metadata that the person can use that is verifiable. The person is going to put this into their CVs and job applications anyway, but the difference between self-claimed skills and verifiable skills can sometimes make the difference between an employer's choice of candidate for a job vacancy.
Thank you very much, Kia and Ildiko, for those additions. Now moving on to the next question on the timeline for future development for EDC. I'm not sure what this refers to, but when we presented earlier the upcoming developments, for many of them, we want to have them as part of the 2.7 release that will take place at some point in the autumn, and for some other developments, they will take place also in 2026. Regarding any other type of roadmap and so on, so we have all the information that is really in the pipeline has been presented this morning as well. Now another question related to accreditation. How many issuing bodies can be included into one accreditation / credential? So perhaps Ildiko, you want to explain again the details of the accreditation feature. Thank you.
Sure. And I know that the demonstration was very fast, but there's a specific training material being created as we speak that would explain in detail the difference between accreditation information coming from evidence, i.e. references to our formal official accreditation database versus accreditation information that is coming from manually created templates. For accredited credentials that are accredited by their type, there can only be one evidence reference to one accreditation report, which will be related to one of the awarding bodies. But as you know, a credential that always only has one issuer, there can only be one seal applied to a credential. Claims can have multiple awarding bodies. This is applicable to projects, university alliances, joint degrees. Lots of use cases have multiple awarding bodies for single claims or multiple claims contained in a credential. If you are using these in combination, you can use the one accreditation evidence reference from the accreditation database that will allow you to run and pass the accreditation check. But in addition to this, or instead of this, you can create generic credentials where multiple awarding bodies information about the organization itself is augmented by a layer of information about accreditation data. But once again, this is manually supplied information, not something that you can query from our accreditation database. I hope this answers the question.
Thank you very much, Ildiko. And I think you may also want to answer the next question on how do you handle the case of credentials awarded by jointly offered degrees?
Yes, sure. So this is, again, something that might depend on your individual circumstances, conditions, and agreements. And this is something that might be a very interesting thread in our Futurium community, where we have implementers representing and stakeholders representing multiple use cases. You can award these joint degrees or joint micro-credentials even by agreeing who would be the issuer. Sometimes it's a very pragmatic issue with who can acquire an electronic seal more easily, or who can get it acquired through their decision-making processes, and whose legal representative would be more supportive of getting an e-seal for the organization. In many cases, your joint, for example, university alliance might be a legal entity who can acquire a qualified or advanced electronic seal for the umbrella organization. But in any case, it's important to notice the difference between the awarding bodies, of which there can be multiple with equal role or equal authority over the claims, and the issuing organization, of which there can be only one, the organization that applies their electronic seal on the credentials. So how you can handle it, it has some level of flexibility to it. And given the technical restrictions and allowances, you can decide which combination of these aspects would work best for your use case.
Thank you very much, Ildiko. And if I may add also one point related to policy, is that when the Commission adopted its package related to the blueprint for European degree in 2024, the European ISO credentials for learning are explicitly mentioned as a solution to support those joint degrees. So we will also be working there as well to support whichever outcome of ongoing negotiations, and as the joint degree will progress, to support it with the tool as well. Now, maybe this next question will be a question for Kia. Which type of institution allowed to use this tool? Can any higher learning institution that issues credential certification use them even if the national accreditation body doesn't use them?
Yes, thank you, Celine. So yeah, any institution can make use of VDC Assure. There is No restriction except that the institution or organization needs to have a legal identity, because you will have to acquire the electronic seal in order to actually issue the credential. So it can be any higher education institution, or an NGO, or a vet organization, or a company. Anyone can really make use of the tool. So when we talk about accreditation, this is something that you can do in addition to just issuing generic EDC. So it is not required to have to be included in the National Accreditation Database, or in have any other form of accreditation to issue EDCs.
May I also add that we also have the mandating feature. So even if you think that your organization is too small or it's not worthwhile to acquire an electronic seal, but you are working with a larger institution or representative whom you would trust and whom would also trust you to sign your credentials, then it's perfectly possible for a small organization to create the credentials in the capacity of the awarding body and pass on these unsigned credentials to their mandated partner, who would seal and issue them the credentials for them. So as always, we do have options for everybody, because we would like to make this tool as inclusive and accessible as possible.
Thank you very much, Ildiko and Kia. Now, the next question, I think, Ildiko, you may also want to take it. I think you're also one of the people who's been experimenting the most with the online credential builder and its many possibilities. So is it possible to create complex transcript type credentials having multiple subjects, assessment marks for multiple years through the online credential builder?
The short answer is yes, and you are already able to download a transcript of records sample from our code.europa repository. One of my colleagues will probably, or me later, paste the link to this particular collection of examples, which, by the way, also includes Annex 1 compliant micro-credentials and the joint degree sample. So it is possible. Granted, this will be much better at a later stage when we do implement the ordering, because currently, although it's possible to use a single custom HTML code to display various numbers of subjects on various different credentials. So if learners have different subjects and different number of subjects on their transcripts of records, you don't have to create these individually. You can have one single custom HTML code to make it personalized and customized for each individual learner. But the order of the subjects would be random. JSON doesn't recognize order. So this will definitely be better in the future, but it is already possible to create and issue these. So we recommend you to consult the repository of these examples. And if you have any concrete questions, you can just contact our team.
All right, many thanks, Ildiko, for explaining us all the details related to the creation of transcript of records. And indeed, we are all very excited for the development related to ordering to really unblock a lot of different use cases that have been stuck now due to this missing functionality. Now, one of the highlights of today's presentation was indeed the introduction of the archive feature. So is there an estimate for this feature, and would it include some kind of dashboard to track emitted credentials? So I think here Ildiko showed and explained how the receipt will work, but Ildiko, if you can maybe walk us through those changes again. Thank you.
Sure. So dashboard is not possible. You will have to store these receipts in your own file system. And I would just like to remind everybody that it was already possible to download a report after the issuing session, but that was a very simple one, and it definitely did not allow issuers to download copies of the issued credentials. Basically, if on the basis of us considering the learners to be the owners of their credentials, and we always make the disclaimer that there's no trace of the credentials in the issuer once the issuing process is concluded. We only keep these in cache until the end of the issuing process. Now, the authorized issuers who obviously have the right to keep the copies of the credentials can also download these receipts. I can, if we do have time, I'm very happy to try to run through the whole flow. Would you suggest that we do that, Celine?
Yes, indeed, we still have 20 minutes
Okay.
scheduled for the webinar, so that might be quite useful as well, and I think that might also
Okay.
provide some insight for upcoming questions too.
Okay, just a second. In the meantime, I also shared, now I can't see that share button. Is it because you're, I found it. Okay. Share. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we do, Ildiko, thank you.
Okay. So since I'm already on the screen, I can also just remind you that if you have an authorized third party or a bigger team of individuals taking care of different parts of the issuing flow, this is the upload function, where if you are the person with access to the e-seal, you receive the unsigned credentials from your colleague. This is where you upload the unsigned credentials. I do have an example for this one as well. So let's say that we have this unsigned qualification downloaded from the demo session. It looks exactly as if I got to the screen from my online credential builder, but the person who uploads these credentials doesn't even have to have an online credential builder account. So if we are going with this flow, so we uploaded this unsigned credential. Before we seal, we decide whether we want to include the credential within the receipt or not. I select the include credentials within the receipt, then I apply my seal. I'm going to get the next view pop-up window, which will ask me to select my e-seal. I select from my Windows key store the seal that I would like to use. This is my test seal. I have a few expired or non-valid seals that I can also show you how the test your e-seal works if you are using a non-valid seal. Here in this model window, I am reminded that this is the information that will appear in the signed credentials. Once I acknowledge this, I can proceed to the sealing. Once this is done and I send the credentials in real time, I will get this credential receipt file, which is a zip file. And if I open this, and this is something that I decided to include the credentials themselves, this is the credential receipt. If I open this in my Notepad++, I am able to see that this is the credential that I issued by email to myself, and it's sent. But also I have the credential itself, which is this. And if my issuing session consisted of more than one credentials, then there would be one credential receipt. And this one credential receipt might include multiple lines, like I showed on the slide, one of the slides, just to be faster. So this session was conducted and sent to multiple individuals. So this receipt has two parts for the unique credential identifiers, the types of issue, the value, etc. But also this is the unique credential or the receipt version of the credential that you as an issuer can hold for yourself. And if it's multiple credential, you would have the one credential receipt and multiple credential files that are all signed JSON-LD files.
Thank you very much, Ildiko, for this flow demo of everything related to the archive feature. I think now it's much clearer how it is going to work. If we move now to the next question regarding ELM 3.3 backward compatibility, can you please tell if there will be any issue with former JSON files, and will they be retro-compatible when uploaded to the platform? So I think here it's Anthony who can give a reply, or Justin.
I will take this one. ELM v3.3 is backward compatible, and we are committed, let's say, to maintaining backward compatibility of the model. Our actual base release for the ELM v3 is v3.1. 3.0 was never really used in production, so basically anything from 3.1 onwards, we always maintain backward compatibility, and that is the plan for the foreseeable future.
Thank you very much, Anthony, for the reply. Now, next question. Is there an AI tool that could help with identifying ESCO skills from the course description and learning outcome? I think here, Kia, you would be the one responding.
I think Anthony or Ildiko actually.
Okay, Anthony or Ildiko.
You can have it, Anthony. I think it's the AI linking tool that we should probably have. Anthony, okay.
He crashed.
Oh, he crashed. Okay, Anthony crashed. So then, yes, there are AI tools that could help with the identification of ESCO skills. And that can be heavily manual, or that can be something that is developed by somebody. I am reasonably sure that there would be third-party tools already available. We in-house do not have one yet. But we do have on our radar the development and use of AI linking tool that would process learning outcome descriptions to extract ESCO skills. Don't expect it in the next release, however, because this is a very complex and time-consuming task. And if Anthony uncrashed and would like to add anything, then he's welcome to, or even you, Celine, if you want to comment.
No, I think that more or less covers it. All I would say is if you actually just Google for, let's say, tools of matching ESCO skills, you will find several of them out there, and you know, there's you have quite a variety available.
Thank you very much, Anthony and Ildiko, for replying to the question. Now, are there any European level initiatives that use the EDC and or encourage the use of EDC in connection with European funding programs, trying to identify selling arguments? Indeed, the European Digital Credentials for Learning are mentioned in a variety of policy documents. For instance, the EU Cybersecurity Skills Academy refers to the EDC, or the Net Zero Industrial Academies are also referring to digital credentials for learning. There is also promotion of the European Credentials for Learning within the Pact for Skills. Erasmus Plus project are, of course, encouraged as part of the Erasmus Guide to make use of existing EU tools, and Europass is mentioned there, and EDC is one of the Europass tools. We have also a lot of different contact with Erasmus Plus project related to issuing credentials for the training that they provide. So indeed, there is a lot of policy documents that refer to this system, and also there is encouragement of the use of the tool, but the use of the tool itself at the moment is voluntary. So we can encourage, we can provide support, but there is no mandatory use of the digital credentials. Does anyone want to add something to that question, or should we take the wallet question? I see no hands raised among colleagues, so we can take the wallet question. So will other wallets than the Europass wallet also be supported? Is there a way in which a student can make an informed decision on what wallet to use to store their European digital credentials? This is an excellent question, and this is very much linked with our principle of data ownership, where the individual is owner of their data and decides what to do with their data. Before I give the floor to the colleagues, I wanted to add that we really want to be aligned with the developments coming up under the European Digital Identity Wallet, so that those wallets would be compatible with the EDCs, and individuals could also store the credentials in those wallets. But there might be other wallet development coming up, so maybe I'm not sure who wants to take the question, Justin, or?
Yeah, perhaps it's also worth saying that there is the open source version of EDC, which is available for implementers to implement their own instances of the EDC wallet, in which credentials issued through EDC could be stored for their own purpose. So there are other potential instances out there that could be used.
Indeed, thank you very much, Justin, for these additions. Now moving on to the next question, will there be a test account? Perhaps Ildiko, you can explain what are the possibilities offered by the online credential builder, please.
Sure. So if you could elaborate on test account in case I don't get the answer right, please do. But I do not believe you need a test account to be able to explore the use of creating and issuing EDCs. You can just use your regular account and create the credentials. Without an advanced or qualified electronic seal, you can go as far as downloading the on-site JSONs and previewing what they would look like. The only step that you wouldn't be able to do is the sealing and the sending. Normally, if you know somebody who does have an electronic seal who could seal for you, they can support your testing. But we currently do not have a test environment or a sandbox environment where you would not have this restriction of using an advanced or qualified electronic seal. In the future, without a timeline or a time point, we are considering to implement something that is impersonation. So in theory, you could just ask if you are needing support, you could contact our team and we could help you. But at this point, this is not something that we can do already. So the best is to work with what you can right now. And if you have any specific questions, contact the support team.
Thank you very much, Ildiko. And indeed, we will paste in the chat the link to the mailbox of the support team, but we also have shared the Futurium group where you can ask questions on to other implementers, but we are also monitoring this space as well. So it is also a good space to share information, ask questions, and give each other feedback. Now moving on to the question on Europass Mobility, could you explain how and when Europass Mobility will be available on EDC? So the plan is to have Europass Mobility available as a specific credential type. So today we have a generic credential type and another one that is called accredited credential type. So there would be a new one called Europass Mobility. It would have a customized front end that replicates the fields of the new Europass Mobility template. And everything would keep all the other features of EDC would remain the same. So this is how it would be available. We are also discussing different possibilities for its connection also with, in the case of Erasmus+, the beneficiary module, so that institutions that are coming up from Erasmus+ don't have to possibly share their data multiple times, but have a seamless flow. Regarding the when, we will be working on different developments for the Europass Mobility, starting at the end of this year, and then we do not have an exact date when this feature will be available, but we will start the work on taking place this year. And the first step for us were those changes to the European learning model. Now moving on to a more technical question. Besides shackle constraints for European Institute credentials, are the TTF files that can validate these constraints hosted somewhere public for manual validation? So here I think Anthony, you would reply.
Of course. So this one gets a little bit technical. Our shackle constraints are published in a different serialization of RDF. So they are published in RDF XML rather than as Turtle. You can still validate the constraints using RDF XML files, and there are a number of online validators that do this. I believe we have already pasted in the chat the link to where you can get the RDF XML files, and we have also published the link to one of the validators that is hosted on the EU websites, which would allow you to do that validation.
Thank you very much, Anthony, and the link has been pasted again in the chat. And now, because we are approaching the end of our webinar, we'll try to cover the remaining 3 questions that we have on the screen. We had a couple more pending questions in the Q&A in Slido, and we will also try to reply to you at least in writing to those questions. So given the complexity of issuance of micro-credentials and requests for clarification by training providers, do you foresee the development of a dedicated micro-credential focused specifically on how to design, issue, and manage micro-credentials? So we have done already a lot regarding micro-credentials, and we have had also a specific webinar on the use of EDC and micro-credentials. It's important to know that EDC is fully aligned and compatible with Annex 1 of the Council recommendation on the European approach to micro-credentials. And Ildiko has posted in the chat the example of our micro-credentials in EDC. Maybe Ildiko, you want to add a couple of words?
Sure, happily. So this example that I pasted the link to in the chat already is compliant with the Annex 1. It also includes not only the compulsory properties that are listed in Annex 1, but also the optional ones. Please also keep in mind that although this standalone example might be very helpful to tweak and create your own similar micro-credentials, since every use case is slightly different or very different, we would also encourage you to use these examples in combination with the webinar recording of the micro-credentials and the training material that I do believe is already available on Futurium. And this is a video demonstration where we walk you through the steps of creating a micro-credential, an Annex 1 compliant micro-credential from scratch. You can pause the video, you can rewind the video. This would probably be the best starting point. And as always, if anything is not clear or you have a more complex situation where you have questions, you can always get back to us by contacting the functional mailbox or asking questions in Futurium.
Thank you very much, Ildiko. And I think I will also ask you the next question. So instead of ESCO, could we use the ISCO 88 for the referencing of the credential?
Absolutely, yes. You can reference any knowledge, skill, or competence taxonomy. We have two distinct properties to describe these. Both are supported in the online credential builder. We obviously use and prioritize the referencing of ESCO skills. For this, we have a very occupation. Oh, sorry. For both both skills and occupations, we have the related skills, related ESCO skills, and related occupation and related ESCO occupation. Same applies that I said for the skills. Apologies. We do allow the referencing of ESCO occupations by simply starting to type. We have a Sparkle query to find matching concept titles from the ESCO pillar of the occupation pillar of ESCO. But if you have the linked or related occupation in linked open data format, you can also reference those in the online credential builder or by embedding them into the JSON file that you manually create or by any other means produce.
Thank you very much, Ildiko. And I think you may also take the next question of the relationship between ESCO occupations, mandatory competencies, and the entitlement section of an EDC. Think of a master's program providing competencies for a certain occupation. Does it have to provide all of them?
So first of all, they're not mandatory competencies. We have essential and optional competencies related to occupations. But this is a recommendation. Like in many other cases, your use case might be very specific. We do have a university alliance with whom we worked closely on creating credentials where this was pivotal. They did internally agree within the alliance that they do want to, quote unquote, force the institutions to reflect the essential skills in their entitlements that were linked to their degree type EDCs, but this was their choice. Technically speaking, we are not enforcing anybody to use any of the non-compulsory properties of EDCs in any of the claims. So this is up to you, but we are supporting the referencing of both essential and optional skills. Just make sure that you're using the right type of linking. So if you do want to implement this, you will have to make sure that you do have an achievement claim that you can link to learning outcomes. It's the learning outcomes that have links to related ESCO skills, but you also have a linked entitlement claim to the same achievement that references the ESCO occupation concept for which you have selected the skill concepts for your learning outcomes.
Many thanks, Ildiko, for this reply. And indeed, very important to keep in mind that ESCO occupations do not define any entitlements, and the different entitlements will depend on each country. I think we may take one more question before we wrap up. That was also posted earlier in the chat. So what is the difference between an EDC credential and verifiable credential? So quite important to clarify this concept before we wrap up today's session. And apologies for running slightly over time, and thank you for staying with us. I think Anthony may take that question, or Justin.
Okay, sure. Very simply, EDC credentials are verifiable credentials. So verifiable credentials is a, let's say, a large umbrella standard that lets you define lots and lots of different types of credentials with different formats, different serializations, and so on. And EDC credentials are simply specialized verifiable credentials for use in the education sector. Specifically, an EDC credential allows you to implement the European learning model within a verifiable credential, and it allows you to use EU signature standards together with your verifiable credential.
Thank you very much, Anthony, for providing this very important explanation and confirming that indeed EDCs are verifiable credentials. And now that's a wrap on all the questions that we received this morning. Thank you very much for everyone who joined us for this webinar, and for all your very interesting questions. We hope that now you have learned a lot about all the new updates related to the European Institute Credentials for Learning and the European Learning Model. If you have any questions, we invite you to get in touch at this mailbox, or to reach out at the Futurium group. We will share the slides, and the recording will be available on the Social Europe YouTube channel. Again, thank you very much to everyone, and thanks to the whole team that helped prepare this webinar, and for all the other panelists today. So Ildiko Mazar, Anthony Camilleri, Justin Cook, Kia Likitalo, and all the other colleagues that also help in the preparation as well. So thank you very much, and we wish you all a very pleasant day, and we look forward to seeing you online in a future webinar. Thank you, and bye-bye.